At the top of 2025, I had one main goal in mind, and that was to put out work as a director, to to really put myself out there essentially and release the fear of being perceived and get some work out there that I can show. I'm saying I'm a director. What have you directed? Here is something I have done. It was that, and honestly, the pursuit of knowledge and growth. Film is one of those things you can't video essay your way into learning. You can't theorize. You can't read all the film books and become a good filmmaker. It's one of those things you need to do. Yeah. I mean, like a lot of things, but I'm talking specifically about film. You can't learn and become better if you're not doing often. And that's one of the things that informed my goal for last year was to get work out there and to learn and grow by doing. And so I gave myself a plan. I told myself by the end of the year, release 2 films. This proved to be overly ambitious. It proved to be an instance of me biting off more than I could chew. And that's not something I knew at the time I was making these plans. This is a realization that came at some point during this whole process. I'll get to that. I'll zone in on that specifically at another time. So let me get into the idea. The idea for Lollipops and Cigarettes stemmed from the reality that I was in, my current reality at the time. At the time, my younger brother, Habil, who is actually in the film, he plays the little boy. He was on holiday, or rather, he had been on holiday for 2 months. And this guy was just having a blast. Every day it's waking up, you go play outside, come back home, you watch YouTube, you go play outside, carefree, completely carefree life. Everything is being sorted for you. Kazi yako tu ni ku exist, ni ku enjoy life, ni ku enjoy maisha. I, on the other hand, had been adulting for quite some time already, working, paying bills at home, helping out at home, things like that. And at the time I was even I'd started contemplating the idea of moving out. So adulting was really hitting me in the spot. Like I mentioned, I wanted the film to be 2 to 3 minutes mark, something short to build creative momentum, for me to learn before moving on to a larger narrative project. I was aiming for the second one to be a 10 to 15 minute short film, 10 to 20 minute short film. And since I wanted this first one to be short, quick turnover, something I could do very quickly, so I thought, I said, let me write a poem based off of what I'm currently observing and experiencing. Let me contrast the feeling of childhood and the reality of being an adult today. And at the time, the original name of the film was An Ode to My Inner Child. That was the initial name. I had started with that, evolved into Lollipops and Cigarettes later on. Core idea was still the same. Name is the only thing that changed. And so, let me get into the writing process. I wanted the film to be rooted creatively in surrealism. Surrealism, if you have never heard the term before, is an art and literary movement from the 20th century that essentially aims to unlock the creative power of the subconscious mind by bypassing logical thinking and tapping into the subconscious to channel that creativity. Surrealism is something I have been interested in since I fell in love with Atlanta, the series created by Donald Glover, who is one of my creative heroes. So what I did was take the surrealist creative concept. There's a few creative techniques, rather, that surrealists use to bypass the logical mind and tap into the subconscious. And one of those techniques is called automatism. Automatism essentially means creating spontaneously without thinking of the logical rules of whatever art form, and just putting it out and drawing from that. So I used automatism and specifically automatic writing. There's also automatic drawing, which now the artists who draw like this can utilize. So I anchored my automatic writing to my core idea of childhood versus adulthood dynamics, and I let my mind run, and I wrote thoughts, phrases, ideas, feelings, anything that just popped up. You forget grammar, just forget general coherence when you're doing automatic writing or automatic drawing. Forget the rules, just get what is in here out, however it comes out. And through doing that, anchoring automatic writing to my core idea is how I gained the raw material that I now then used as building blocks for the film Lollipops and Cigarettes. Why I'm calling them building blocks is through the automatic writing, I wrote up imagery, sound, feeling, colors. I will show my work somewhere here. And I used those things that I had put down to inform the imagery, the symbolism, also the sound design that I used, that was utilized in Lollipops and Cigarettes. So I took the automatic writing stuff and I distilled it into something coherent, into the poem, which I then turned into the film Lollipops and Cigarettes. That is the essential beginning process of how I went about creating this.